Alrighty, y'all. Hello and welcome to what should be hopefully an eye-opening video. And we'll see if I agree with most of this or if it's all doom and gloom or maybe a little bit over-exaggerated. We'll just have to see. And the topic being if the USA is the richest country in the world, at least that's what we hear here a lot. Why are we all struggling? That's the title of this one. And we'll be looking at just part of this video. So it'll be linked down below. This is from a channel called Raising Wildflowers. So make sure to check them out. Let's go ahead and jump right in.
We're told that America is the richest country in the world. But if you're like me and a lot of the people that I know, it doesn't feel like it. America might be rich on paper, but the reality is a lot of us are just struggling to survive.
Before we even let her get into it, that's exactly what we hear all the time, right? From a young age, even currently still in certain, maybe not as much, but you still hear it, right? Just certain, forums online, maybe bits of news here and there, or certain things, political personalities might say, whatever it is, right? USA is the richest, right? We have the biggest military, the strongest military. We're the richest country in the world. It's very overdone here, I think. And the one big thing is GDP. We always hear, oh, well, look at the GDP charts. We dominate, right? Well, the funny part is, and I'm thinking she's going to get into this, for a lot of people, hearing the GDP so high and we're the richest country ever, it doesn't feel that way. It just doesn't feel that way. So why doesn't it, right? What a weird disconnect to hear in one ear, we're so rich, and out the other, you face the reality of, wow, I don't really feel rich. There's a lot of reasons, I could pick that apart, but that's
my last video. I said that the US was the richest country in the world, and I got a lot of pushback from that. And I get it. The US certainly doesn't feel like the richest country in the world when most people are just struggling to pay rent and are skipping doctor visits because they can't afford to go. Technically, the U.S. does have the highest GDP.
There it is, the magic GDP. Some people in the U.S. just love to cite whenever they get the chance. Look at that, 30 trillion. Woohoo. Well, here's the thing I always find funny about this. Now, I'm not an economic expert. I'm just a regular guy, but I'll just say this, right? For what it's worth. It is funny always seeing these big GDPs, but here's the funny part. Our debt in this country is higher than this. 30 trillion sounds like, quite frankly, infinite money. Well, somehow our debt is actually higher than that. We're into the 35 to 40 trillion in debt, I believe. Our Pentagon, they can't pass an audit. They fail that year after year. And look at, you have big players, other sort of rich, you would think countries like China, Germany, India, Japan. But those are small numbers compared to us. But when it comes down to, day-to-day things citizens experience, world prowess, militaries, that type of thing, these countries are pretty competitive as well. So I don't think the U.S. is in the stratosphere while everyone else is at the bottom like we think we are. It doesn't feel like it.
And the dollar is still the reserve currency of the world. For now, but that is exactly the point.
Fair point.
If the bottom half of America only have 2.5% of the wealth, can we really call that a rich country in any meaningful way? Because when millions of people are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to put food on the table, unable to afford health care, it forces a deeper question. Rich for who?
At some point, the basic economics really matter, and they matter because not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer, it's bad that everyone else is getting poorer.
Yeah.
And it's especially bad the young people can't afford homes. Let me just put a very precise point on this. If you want a measure of how your economy is doing, I personally favor eliminating GDP as a measure. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
It's clearly not relevant.
No one knows.
Japan has a stagnant GDP. Have you been to Tokyo? It's the single most radicalizing experience you'll ever have because it's just so nice.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but other cities worldwide, in every continent too, it doesn't matter what continent, there are cities in other countries that at least I feel like really make our cities look like we're behind. Ours are just dirty and congested, and infrastructure's sloppy. The public transportation is usually bad. There's tons of crime. There's tons of, I don't know, just dirt and grime everywhere. It seems like rusty, garbage-filled areas. Now, of course, there's nice parts of nice cities here, but I'm just saying it seems like as a whole, a lot of other cities are doing, well, just way better at being cities than any city in the U.S. That's just my opinion, but that's what it seems like.
Lost the war? Really? Can we lose a war and wind up like this? GDP. No. I don't know what even that is. The total economic activity. Oh, no. My measure is really simple. I got a bunch of kids. Can they afford houses with full-time jobs at like 27, 28? And the answer is
not anymore.
No.
Not anymore.
And the answer is that 35-year-olds with really good jobs can't afford a house unless they stretch and go deep into debt.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's a total disaster. That's a complete disaster. Why?
That's what it feels like.
2 reasons. One, if people don't own things, they don't feel ownership of the country they're in.
Yeah.
And the country gets super volatile because people feel like they've got nothing to lose. When you have a lawn, trust me, you're thinking long term. Second, it's really hard to have a family without a house. It is. It's like super fun to live in an apartment if, there's like a bar downstairs, you're in a cool neighborhood. I'm in East Village, it's so cool. Try to have 3 kids. You're not going to have 3 kids there. You can't. Nobody wants to raise their kids in that neighborhood. Nobody wants to raise their kids in an apartment. People do it because they have to. Nobody wants to. People want a little house, not some McMansion, just a little normal house. That is the actual American dream. And
why is that so rare now?
Totally unattainable for young people. And so the only young people in general that you will ever meet who have houses are young people whose parents helped them. And God bless their parents. That's a perfectly great thing to do for your kids.
And that's rare.
But most people's parents can't afford to do that because they're already in debt from their pointless college degree.
Yeah.
So that is a national emergency.
Don't get me started on that.
One of the reasons it's happening is because normal people with normal jobs no longer believe they can win in this system and that all the money is going to the worst people.
I'll be honest, I never thought that I would be agreeing with a former Fox News host, but that just goes to show you how universal this struggle really is.
Yeah.
People from all
Good
sides
point.
are finally saying the quiet part out loud. The system isn't working for the majority of us, and the consequences are dire.
It's pretty sad that, kind of wrapping that whole segment up. I've said this before, right? I'll say it again. At least, I don't know how it is in other countries, but here, just growing up, so that recent, I'm 32, so I grew up in the 90s. In the 90s, at least from what I observed and from what people tell me, most people could just work, a regular job or a decent job, not even a great job, just a decent job. And, you could raise a family, you could have a couple kids, you could have a house that you are paying for, you're paying a mortgage on a decent house. You might have 1 new car, right? You might have 2 cars, maybe a new car and a used car. And, you can afford to maybe take, 1 vacation a year. Like the house is in decent shape. You can afford a fence, right? You can afford furniture. That type of simple American family living is just so hard now. Why is it so hard in just that short amount of time? 20 years is not long, if you really think about it. But it's totally changed. Now there's couples that bring in, a household income of $100,000 a year or more, which is phenomenal, right? I mean, making 6 figures is supposed to be like you're doing really well. There's people living paycheck to paycheck, making 6 figures. It's kind of crazy. Now, it's hard to generalize. I know there's people that aren't smart with money. I know there's people that go buy expensive cars or a house they can't afford, even if they, houses are hard to get, period, because they go on the market like 1 or 2 days and they're already sold. There's companies buying houses. There's foreign, companies and rich, wealthy people buying houses. Like, it's crazy. The competition to just buy a house is insane. They're also extremely expensive just compared to 5 or 6 years ago, especially compared to 20 years ago. I can go layers deep with this. Taxes are high, cost of living's high, groceries are high, cars are expensive, houses are expensive. It's just crazy, right? And most people can't afford to do simple things anymore. And it's just crazy. And I'm sure cost of living has gone up slightly, in most countries, but I feel like it's just so severe here. And the sad part is, I know there's rich people that have gotten extremely rich in the past 4 or 5 years, and everyone else has just fallen down the ladder hard. It's just annoying. It's annoying, right? It's, again, there might be some people doing well. If you're really, really smart with your money, like, you can obviously make it go further. You have to be responsible. I get it. Like, it's not all doom and gloom, I feel like, but it's pretty bad, right? To say that America or the economy is doing great, I think is just wild. Like, that's short-sighted. That's just not true.
I grew up hearing, if you work hard, you will succeed. That America is the land of opportunity. That it's the best country
I want to believe that still.
But for most of the people that I know,
it's hard.
my friends, my family, my neighbors, life feels like a constant uphill battle. These people,
rat race,
just like
all
you,
time.
are doing all the
just
right
to survive.
things. They're working multiple jobs. They're going to school, raising kids. But the cost of living just keeps climbing. Healthcare is a gamble. Childcare is unaffordable.
Healthcare, I didn't even include that.
More than half of.
That's just ridiculous. The healthcare here, I've said a million times, I'll never stop saying it. It is freaking ridiculous, in my opinion. The cost is just unreal. Nothing better than paying a high, like the price of a mortgage per month for healthcare. And then, oh, by the way, most things aren't even covered. It's just like there's so much red tape with healthcare here. You pay so much for it, and then half the time it barely covers anything, or you go to the wrong place, they don't cover that. It's not a network. There's, the enrollment periods are all messed up. I hate it. It sucks here. That's like one thing I'll be very blatant about. It's embarrassing here. So that's a huge cost. And, we've all heard the horror stories of how expensive healthcare or hospital bills can be, and ambulance rides and stuff. It's just ridiculous, right? And then the simple things, like I should have added earlier, the cost of living has just gone up so much year after year in the past 5 or 6 years. But of course, the wages haven't barely moved at all. So again, how is the math going to math there? It's not. The math ain't mathin'.
Your monthly income. It starts to feel like the system is designed just for us to barely get by.
Yes.
While a select
Unfortunately, it's what it feels like.
Ultra wealthy. So yes, America technically is the richest country in the world if you are calculating it by the GDP. But who is that wealth really for? Because it's certainly not helping the senior citizen who is having to make the decision to buy food or their medication. It's not helping the kids who go hungry during school breaks. It's not helping the parents who are working multiple jobs to take care of their family. We are told that the economy is booming, but our bodies are tired, our spirits are stretched thin, and our bank accounts do not reflect that so-called prosperity. So let's pause for a second and ask, what does it really mean to be the richest country in the world? Because sure, if we're talking about GDP, the US comes out on top. But is that really the best way to measure a country's success? Does it mean anything when most people don't feel wealthy in their day-to-day lives? When you measure living standards, access to healthcare, affordable education, work-life balance, or just overall happiness, the US ranks way lower than countries like Norway, Switzerland, Canada, Australia, and others. We're told we're number one, but by whose standards? Wall Street's, the billionaires? Because where I stand, where most of us are living, it doesn't feel like a wealthy nation at all. It looks like a system where a few people are extremely wealthy and the
I've said this before. A lot of stuff I've said before. I don't care. I'm going to say it because it's relevant. So, like, I'll just tell you how it feels, right? You see all the charts. Oh, wealthy this, best this, GDP this, blah, 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 right? That's what the whole point is. But here's how it feels. It doesn't feel like that. And this is just like my localized area. So in Illinois, here's the deal, right? You pay high taxes to live in Illinois, right? It's a terrible state, in my opinion. All right, I live here, not by choice. It's high taxes, right? Cost of living is mediocre. It's not cheap, but it's not as expensive as some places, like maybe California or New York or something. But the taxes are high, so it kind of makes up for it on everything. But here's the funny part: the infrastructure is horrible, right? So I've traveled a lot. Simple things like just the way intersections work, red lights, traffic stuff, lack of roundabouts. Other states do that better. It flows better. So like the infrastructure just on your day-to-day drives here is horrible. There's potholes everywhere. There's always construction, but it never gets done. It's weird, right? Like that's funny. And we've also had multiple governors in jail, right? Like Illinois had a problem where they can't balance budgets. There's always crime, especially in Chicago. There's all these pointers you could really point out, and it's just funny. It's like a high-tax state, but yet all the stuff compared to the surrounding states is worse here, right? Like Wisconsin has no tolls on their highways. Illinois does, but tell me why their roads are in better shape. You know what I mean? Like it's same climate, but their roads are better. So the reason I'm talking about Illinois is, like I said, I'm in America and I'm also in Illinois. So like I have like the American problems, and then state to state, you have more problems, right? And so, yeah, it's just annoying hearing how, rich the U.S. is. But of course, the cost of living is just outrageous. So no one feels rich at all unless you're a millionaire. Most people aren't. And then on top of that, I'm in a state that loves to tax the heck out of people and have a lot of arbitrary rules that a lot of other states don't have. But of course, those taxes don't seem to reflect in my day-to-day life at all. So it's very frustrating. Now, I think overall, more people in the U.S. are aware of this than ever, especially compared to, 5 or 10 years ago. It has really gotten bad in that short time span, but I think B, because of social media and things, people connect more and kind of educate themselves more. They look into stuff deeper. Gone are the days where people just sit at home and watch one news channel and get all their information from there, right? Politics are a mess here. Political figures here are a mess. The news is very corrupt and a mess as well. So, like, people have kind of graduated from that and gotten more involved in their way of thinking and how they get information, and people kind of educating each other, right, through different means. So I think that's pretty cool. But honestly, it's a weird feeling. Like, there are days, like, I don't want to pretend like America's the worst place on earth or something. It's not. It's just, I feel like this place should, and this is something I've said before, I feel like this place should be one of the best, right? Like, I'm one of those people, I am a proud American. This has been my life, right? This is where I was born. This is where I've grown up. I do have a lot of love and sentimental value for this country, but I think because I'm a proud American, I'm very critical of it. And I think a lot more Americans are realizing that it's not bad to criticize your country. It's not bad to tell the truth. We're not the best country on earth. It's not even close. We're just not. I don't say that because I hate this place. I say it because I want better for it. I think we should be one of the best. Notice I didn't say the best. I don't think we're the best country in the world. I don't think we will be, maybe ever. But I think we should be one of the best. I think we have the capability of being one of the best. So that's why it's very frustrating that we're not doing better. Because on a lot of important charts, we're not at the top. We're in the, way, way down. But of course, the GDP, we're at the top. You see, it's very frustrating.
So maybe we need to stop asking if America is the richest country and start asking rich in what? Because it's clearly not in our overall well-being, our safety nets, or our shared prosperity. When we left the US for Southeast Asia, everything changed. And I'm not saying it's perfect here. No place is.
Right.
But for the first time, we could finally breathe. We could meet our most basic needs.
If she didn't say, I was going to say, I bet they feel like they can, slow down and breathe. I bet they can. And I bet it's actually way nicer than most Americans would think. I bet they have access to, civilized social services a lot easier. But the cost of living is way cheaper. I bet they have great food that they can access. And I bet it's beautiful, right? So how do you argue with that?
Finally felt safe. We could walk to the local market and find local, healthy foods. We can see the doctor without feeling panicked and just enjoying life without feeling like every day is a struggle. And I know not everyone wants or can move abroad, and that's not the point.
That's tough too.
The point is that you can live a really good quality life without being wealthy. And when you experience that, you realize how unnecessarily hard life in America is for working people.
Yeah, I'm going to link that below. Make sure you check out the rest of her video and the rest of her stuff. That was very good. Yeah, I'm going to kind of leave with that as well. For some people, their American dream is different now. Their American dream might be to leave, and I don't blame them. You know, in theory, in a perfect world, I would love to leave, honestly, and explore the world. Like, who wouldn't? And I know for a fact I would probably very much have my eyes opened even bigger than they already are and see that life can be pretty awesome in other places and, well, quite frankly, probably better in many places. But that's for another time. I think in the meantime, a lot of people, still don't want to leave, and that's understandable because that's just a big, scary thing. I understand it. Some people can't, right? They're just, unfortunately, they're stuck here, and that sounds sad to say, but for a lot of people, that's true as well. I think that if people want to leave, they should be able to. So that's just an option that should always be there. I also think for people that are here, maybe like me on the fence, I would love to leave and see other places. At the same time, I'd love to see other places, but also live here, maybe the rest of my life, but I want it to be better here, right? And I think some people are frustrated. They're just sick of all the problems here, and they want it to be better. And that's what I want. I want this place to do better. And I don't know how that's going to happen. I hope for the best. I'm very optimistic. It's hard nowadays, but I feel like people should have that. And it's going to take a lot of work and, unfortunately, probably time as well. But I think we can do better here. I just don't exactly know the whole picture how. But there needs to be a lot of changes here because just so many people, right? The healthcare is atrocious. So many people struggle with just simple cost of living. And I think a place that loves to tout as being powerful and rich, while most people can't even afford to raise a family barely at all without a struggle or working multiple jobs and, you know, barely scraping by with the most basic of necessities. I don't think you can call yourself rich when that's the reality. So definitely needs to be a huge wake-up call in the U.S., and a lot needs to change. Is it all doom and gloom? No. Is this place still, like, feasible? Yes. Is it excellent or one of the best places in the world? No. That's kind of where I'm at, right? It's not all doom and gloom, but it's really rough. The comment we saw the other day on a different video was kind of accurate. America is feeling like a third world country, honestly. Dressed like a first world or with a, you know, designer label. I feel like that's accurate. It has the, you know, it can make itself look really good, maybe even from the outside. But once you get here, you realize this place is pretty freaking rough around the edges. Should be interesting comment section. Please let me know your thoughts. Maybe let me know your advice on how you would make this country better, how you would help the cost of living, you know, the whole 9 yards. Let me know. I hope you enjoyed, though, or maybe learned something. And if you want to weigh in, too, where you're watching from and if cost of living has gone up and how people, you know, have adjusted or how it's going to get better also, you know, really anywhere, please let me know. That's going to be it for this one. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all, stay safe out there. I'll catch you later.